Okay, so right now I am somewhere in Puchong and it's terribly jammed, so I decided to stop one side and record this special video for all of you. As we all know, this week has been the launch of the new Perodua EV, and there's been a lot of debate going around about this car, particularly with regards to the battery leasing program. Now, I want to go on record and say this. What Perodua has achieved with the QV is nothing short of remarkable, because in the space of just 2 years, they went from zero experience in EVs to developing something from ground up with zero support from their partner, Daihatsu, and produced a fully functioning EV. And not only that, they pioneered a new business model, which is to rent the battery as a service rather than sell it with the car. Now, I just want to say one thing also. It would have been impossible, I believe, for Perodua to have done the same thing if they had to develop a combustion engine vehicle from scratch, new platform, new engine, totally no input from Daihatsu or Toyota. There is no way Perodua could have done it in 2 years for a combustion engine car. But for an EV, that is still possible because there's the option of you can outsource the battery, and let's be frank, electric motors are very simple. So most of the focus in the R&D can be focused on the platform development, the design, the interior, and also the software, and of course validation and prototyping. So the purpose of today's video, I have here with me the product disclosure sheet. So I'm going to analyze this sheet line by line. Okay, and let's start with this. So what is this product? This is a Sharia compliant battery leasing plan between Perodua Sales Sdn Bhd and you as the customer or lessee, under which Perodua leases the battery unit to you for use in your Perodua QE. You pay a monthly lease rental to use the battery during the lease term. The battery remains the property of Perodua at all times. The vehicle is sold separately to you and is not part of the lease. So this is a clear definition of the product, all right? And what it clearly says here is basically you own the car and not the battery. Every month you pay a monthly lease, all right, a rental for the battery. Now, point number two, what is the Sharia concept applicable for this product? The battery lease is based on the concept of operating ijara. Perodua, as owner of the battery, leases out the battery to you at an agreed rental payable over an agreed lease period. The ownership of the battery remains with Perodua while you only have the right of use of the battery. At the end of the lease period, you may return the battery to Perodua or extend the lease period of the battery for a secondary term. So here, once again, they re-emphasize you don't own the battery, Perodua does. And they also define what happens at the end of the lease period. You either return it or you extend the lease. Now, then the question now becomes, how much do you pay in this extended lease? And the question on top of my head is, what if I exit this lease before the end of the lease period? Right? What if I choose to end the lease before, say, year 4 or year 5? So let's read on. Key terms of the battery leasing plan. Okay, so the term is 9 years or 108 months. Right? Start date effective on the vehicle delivery date with battery duly installed in the vehicle. So it means that the car comes with the battery, and the lease starts on the date the car is handed over to you. End date. Upon expiry of the lease term, continuation is subject to end of lease options. Now, this is where there are a lot of asterisks happening. All right. And what does it mean? Subject to end of lease options. Right. These are questions to be answered right now. Now, so what are the fees and charges do I have to pay? So at once, this is like the rental deposit, right? Equivalent to 3 months rental, or 825 exclusive of 8% SST to be paid upon execution of the battery lease agreement and before receiving your vehicle. So it means that this will go into part of your down payment, and it's 825 ringgit. Now, it means a point here to mention exclusive of 8% SST. What this means is that, and it's not stated very clearly, but I'm going to assume it means that you have to top up, all right, on top of 275 ringgit per month, you have to top up an additional 8% of SST, right? So the payment will be utilized to set off your final 3 months of rental, pay any due and outstanding rentals upon early termination, and or set off any gap before your first vehicle financing installment under integrated payment method. Any excess after utilization will be refunded to you. So let's look at this. So you pay this 3 months rental upfront. Let's say if you release it until 9 years, the final 3 months, you won't have to pay any rental. All right. Pay any due, or if let's say if you terminate the lease early, this 825 also will be used to offset any amount that you owe Perodua. Okay, and or set off any gap before your first vehicle financing installment under integration payment method. Okay, so monthly lease is 275, once again, exclusive of 8% SST. And it says here, payment must be made on or before the 5th day of each month. Compensation fee. 1% per year fee will be charged on overdue amount for any late or missed monthly lease payment. If lease is terminated, compensation fee will be payable on any due and outstanding amount until the battery is recovered by Perodua. So compensation fee here means 1% per year on any amount that you owe them. Okay? And if the lease is terminated, the compensation fee will be payable and outstanding amount until the battery is recovered, Perodua. So let's say like your car gets involved in an accident, right? Or you miss payments, then Perodua has the right to recover that battery from you. Now, what are the payment methods? Number one, integrated payment with vehicle financing. Combine with your monthly vehicle financing installment through participating financial institutions. After full settlement of financing, payments shall continue directly to Perodua via Perodua mobile app or approved channels. So Perodua gives you this facility whereby you only make one payment per month. If you take a loan, then you only make one payment to your bank, and then your bank will then pay back the money to Perodua. So if, let's say, for example, if your monthly installment is 800 per month, then it will be 800 plus 275 plus 8% SST on the 275. Right? You can use standing instruction, automatic deduction via participating financial institution, means direct banking from your bank account, or you can directly pay to Perodua via Perodua mobile app or approved channels. Note that payment method may be changed by Perodua with reasonable notice. So there are many ways to pay it, but I think the most popular way will be you just pay it straight, one payment to your bank, and your bank will then pay to Perodua. What are the advantages and guarantees? So there's the battery performance guarantee. So Perodua guarantees the battery will maintain a minimum 70% state of health through the lease term. If the SOH falls below 70%, Perodua will replace the battery at no cost, subject to no outstanding lease rentals. Means that you don't owe them anything. If let's say all your lease payments on time, Perodua will replace the battery for you. Okay. Number two, compliance with obligations and responsibilities. This is the next section, right? If the battery is replaced due to battery manufacturer defect or fault, the original lease term shall remain unchanged. If the battery is replaced due to your fault or negligence or for any reasons other than a battery manufacturer defect, the battery lease agreement will be terminated and you will be required to enter into a new agreement with Perodua. Wow, let's dissect this. If the battery is replaced due to battery manufacturer or defect or fault, original lease term shall remain. It means that if the battery is replaced, right, because of warranty claim, all right, let's assume warranty claim, your lease term continues unchanged. But if the battery has to be replaced because you screwed up, maybe you get into an accident, caused the battery to be damaged, right? Or your negligence resulted in the battery going below 70% state of health, right? The battery lease agreement will be terminated and Perodua, and you will be required to renew your lease, start from 9 years again. Now, this is something where I will have a bit of questions. What constitutes your fault? Your negligence? What is defined as a battery manufacturer defect? This is a question that I will seriously ask your sales advisor if I'm in consideration to purchase this car. What constitutes a battery defect and what constitutes your fault? This is a number one, one of the very important question to ask, right? Takafu coverage means insurance coverage. Takafu coverage of battery unit covered and managed by Perodua, okay? So it means that you pay for insurance of the car, right? Perodua will insure the battery. Now, here's another important point. Maintenance and servicing. Battery servicing is included at no cost. Extra charges shall apply for misused, unauthorized repair, non-compliance, or where services are provided at your request. Basically, it's free maintenance, but the asterisk here is misuse. What constitutes misuse? What is the definition of misuse? This is something that I would ask. I would assume that normal driving does not constitute misuse. I do not see what would be any sort of reasonable form of driving pattern that would constitute a misuse. All right. Unauthorized repair, I would not recommend you that you repair this battery anywhere, because if the maintenance is already included at no cost, there is no reason for you to repair this outside. And non-compliance, what does non-compliance mean? Does non-compliance here mean non-compliance to the terms stated in this sheet, right? Or where services are provided at your request? Now, once again, I can't imagine what sort of services are we talking about that Perodua that would be necessary. Maybe could it be charging at service center, but that one is fair to pay, right? So cannot be like. What are my obligations and responsibilities? So pay the monthly lease rental on or before the due date every month. Okay, battery use. Use battery only in your Perodua EV. Operate, charge, and maintain the battery as per owner's manual and safety guidelines. Maintain the battery and or vehicle according to Perodua service schedule. Use compatible or certified charging equipment. So this is very clear. Use battery only in your Perodua means don't take it out. Operate, charge, and maintain the battery as per owner's manual and safety guidelines. So I believe that with this mention, whatever that is stated in the owner's manual will be legally binding, right, along with this document as well. All right. Maintain the battery and or vehicle according to Perodua service schedule. So what this means that this vehicle will be locked in to service at Perodua for its entire life. You cannot service this car at any third-party workshop. Use compatible or certified charging equipment means that you also need to be very careful before deciding what cable are you using to charge the battery with, right? Prohibited. You cannot sell, sublet, transfer, tamper with, or attempt to repair the battery. Basically, don't take it out and don't try to remove the battery from the car. Use the battery for ride-hailing, delivery, commercial, or unlawful purposes. So what this means is that now, even though legally there is nothing to stop you from using the QV as a ride-hailing vehicle, what this clause here puts out, right, based on my interpretation, I could be wrong, this would mean that if you register this vehicle as an e-hailing vehicle, or delivery or commercial purpose, I do not know how they would block that. I don't know how they will also block you to register the car for ride hailing. But what this means is that Perodua will have the right to not honor any warranty for your battery. I believe this clause puts that. Intentionally expose the battery to unsafe conditions such as fire, flooding, or impact. Okay, intentionally. I think that's easy enough to prove. Maintenance and servicing, follow vehicle service schedule. Regular vehicle servicing will be and maintenance costs will be borne by you. Battery-related servicing, repair, or replacement must be carried out only at designated Perodua authorized service centers. So you really cannot service this car anywhere other than Perodua, and you must service this car on time. Notify incidents, total loss, or theft. Notify Perodua immediately in case of accident, damage, malfunction, theft, fire, submersion in water, or any incident involving the battery or vehicle. Means that anything that happens to the car after you make your police or accident or whatever, after make police report, you have to report to Perodua, right? If the vehicle or battery is declared total loss or stolen, you have to declare to Perodua. And if the incident occurs while the vehicle is being used outside of Malaysia, you shall bear all costs associated with transporting the vehicle and or battery back to designated Perodua service centers in Malaysia. Yeah. So if let's say like you drive this car to Thailand or to Singapore, anything happens, you have to be prepared for towing charges, which is true for any other car, actually. But in this case, the option of abandoning the car overseas is not there, right? Takafu coverage, your Takafu coverage will exclude the battery unit, which will be covered by Perodua. Stamp duties, you are not required to pay any stamp duties, cost, and expense in the preparation and perfection of the battery lease agreement. That's good. What if I fail to fulfill my obligations? Late or missed rental lease payment, reminder or notices will be issued. Battery performance guarantee claim will be suspended. Means that your battery warranty will be out. Vehicle start function or battery operation may be disabled after 2 months of missed payment. Wow, this is something that there were a lot of debate about on the internet. So basically, you miss 2 payments, they will cut your battery, just like how telcos will cut your line. Lease agreement shall be terminated after 3 months of missed payment. Wow, okay. So miss the payment 3 months, Perodua will terminate the lease agreement. and that will result probably in them recovering the battery. So if the battery is not non-compliance, if the battery is not used or maintained properly, or incidents, totals or theft are not reported, results in loss, malfunction, damage or degradation of battery, battery performance guarantee may be cancelled, Perodua may disable the vehicle start function of battery operation, Perodua may claim recovery for the cost of the affected battery, lease agreement may be terminated. So what this means is that whatever happens to your car, be sure to report this to Perodua. That's it. Just say you're vehicle kena flood, kena total loss or whatever, you just have to report it to Perodua, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Okay, if you do not report, that's when trouble will arise, and Perodua will have the legal right to enforce these consequences. What if I need to sell or transfer my vehicle? So the battery must remain installed in the vehicle, cannot be sold or transferred separately. So it means that you cannot take the battery out and sell the vehicle body kosong like that, right? As the battery ownership remains with Perodua, the vehicle is now here. Look at the choice of word, is recommended to be resold to or via Perodua pre-owned vehicles. Look at the choice of words here, recommended. So they cannot make it mandatory, okay? But can you sell this car yourself? You absolutely can. You absolutely can put this on Muda, put this on car list, and decide to sell it yourself. But you let Perodua POV handle the processing. That is what this sounds like to me. And as a quick plug, as we all know, with EVs, with plug-in hybrids, generally resale value of these vehicles are quite poor. Okay, and especially if you sell it to a used car dealer will press your price even further because the perceived risk of taking in a used EV or a used PHEV, the depreciation risk and the risk of repair is much higher, right? Normal cars, used car dealers will probably press you by about 20 or 30% of your car's value. But with EVs, you may get back as low as 50% of your car's value. So a solution for that I can offer you is to sell your car by consignment basis through my service Sell For You, whereby you pass your EV to me and I will help sell the car on your behalf. Right? And what this means is that you have a chance to get back anywhere between 85 to 90% of your car's value. So if you are interested for my help, if you like my help to sell your car on your behalf and your car is not a Perodua QV, fill in the form in the description section below and my team will be in touch to assist you. All right, now coming back to this video. If the vehicle is repossessed by a financial institution, Perodua has the right to remove the battery and may offer to purchase the vehicle from the financial institution, right? And you may nominate a next of kin or authorized representative to continue the lease in the event of unforeseen circumstances. So it means that for whatever reason, if you yourself cannot or do not want to continue the lease, you can nominate someone else to take over the lease agreement. But it would seem to me you cannot just end it like that unless you sell your car to or through Perodua owned vehicles, through the POV arm. Okay. Now, termination and battery recovery. So what are termination events? Total loss of theft. This one really not your fault. 3 months of lease payment, 3 months of missed payment. This is your fault. Okay. Vehicle is repossessed by financial institution. Loss of right to use the battery due to inaccessibility of vehicle. This is something I wonder what you mean. Loss, okay, repossession, very simple. Loss of right to use the battery due to inaccessibility to vehicle. Could be any reasons, I guess. Vehicle battery sale or ownership transfer. Yep. So ownership transfer is covered. That will terminate the lease. Even though I will ask, the question that would be in my mind is, are there any costs associated with it? That's not been spelled out. Now, bankruptcy or legal proceedings affecting your ability to pay, right? 4 successive missed lease payments by the next of kin or beneficiary of the deceased customer. So if you die, Perodua actually gives your next of kin a grace period of 4 missed payments. After termination and battery recovery, so number 1, battery must remain in vehicle until Perodua recovers it. Battery performance guarantee expires immediately. Okay, Perodua may disable the vehicle start function or battery operation. Means you cannot run, right? Means that Perodua has remote access to the battery, they can shut it down remotely. And in the event that any of the termination events, let's say your car got stolen, your car get repossessed or whatever, you need to notify Perodua and help them recover the battery within 14 days, right? Or if your car gonna flooded. So outstanding lease payments will accumulate up to the date of termination or the date of recovery if later than the 14-day period. Okay, battery recovery costs are payable if the battery is recovered separately from the vehicle, including but not limited to towing, storage, and transportation charges. So if let's say Perodua incurs any costs that they have to go and retrieve the battery from a very inconvenient spot, you have to pay for that. So what happens at the end of the lease? At the end of the lease term, Perodua may offer new lease option if the battery will be replaced with a higher SOH and a new lease term shall commence. A new lease agreement will be required to be entered into. So this one, I believe you can request for anytime, right? You can just request, okay, I think this battery is what I want to update I want to install a new battery. And this is also extremely useful if the car is being resold and the new owner wants a fresh battery in his car. Extended use option. So if SOH is above 70% after 9 years, the battery shall continue to be in use without lease rental payments until it drops below 70%. Battery ownership remains in Perodua in both options. So means that after 9 years, if your battery state of health remains above 70%, you don't have to pay for a new battery. You don't have to pay for the battery anymore. The battery is free for you to use until it degrades to below 70%. Do I need to do if there are changes to my contact details? You must inform Perodua immediately of any change to address, phone number, email, or other contact details to ensure timely communication. Where can I get further information? You have inquiries, please visit the nearest designated Perodua room listed here. Disclaimer, this product disclosure sheet is only a summary and subject to change from time to time. You are advised to read the full battery leasing agreement before signing. In the event of any consistency, the term of the agreement shall prevail. So there's another longer battery leasing agreement, which right now I already talked you also almost 30 minutes already. If I were to do a video on that, it may take me more than 2 hours. So what are the things that we can conclude from? All right, is that basically the whole idea is this. This is a completely new way of buying and owning EVs, okay? And what I really commend Perodua for is that they actually came up with this, what I would call a pretty revolutionary idea. Okay, now whether this is something cost effective or not, really only time will tell. But what I would say is, at first impression, it takes the risk of the battery off the consumer's hands. Because as we all know, the biggest risk in owning an EV to many people, okay, especially people who want to experiment with owning EVs, is that they are worried. What happened if this happened to the battery, they open the battery? So now Perodua will tell you this. You don't have to worry about the battery. I will worry about the battery. You just buy the car and you rent the battery from me. That's it. Okay? And anything happens to the battery, I will cover. Perodua will cover. But of course, when you offer terms like this, there are a lot of stipulations. There are a lot of safeguards, right? Perodua wants to ensure that, number one, they retain ownership of the battery, and that they want to make sure that you absolutely do not tamper with it. You do not do anything to the battery at all. Now, this is something that a lot of people have a lot of arguments over, and there are a few ways that this whole thing can unfold. Okay, one way I see it is that my initial thoughts that this, if it turns out that the Perodua QE is a decent product, there are no issues with using the car, and everybody comes there with ownership, positive ownership experience. What this means is that Perodua would have cracked the code of a way that that sells an EV to the market in a way that really protects the resale value of the, okay? Because I've always felt that with the problem with EVs and the way they depreciate, leasing the EV is the only solution that makes sense. Because the question that I ask every time if I want to get into the ownership of any car is that what happens if I decide to sell it? With most EVs, if you decide to sell it, chances are you have to face severe depreciation. With a lease, yes, you pay more every month, but you have the option, depending on the terms of the lease, of walking away from it if things don't work out right for you. So my question therefore is this: what are the financial consequences for me? If when I sell the car, will I be able to walk away clean, or will I end up having to pay money? This to me is the biggest question. And I believe if, let's say, like Perodua is able to manage this and is able to manage the depreciation of the QV well enough, yes, I think this idea will work. Now, of course, in terms of overall cost of ownership, what this does mean also is that this puts the effective cost of ownership. Once you factor in the price of the battery, right? Yeah, this is effectively 100 over 1,000 car. Even though the car body is 80,000, but if you take the battery cost and you multiply it, 275 multiplied by 108 months, right? You are looking at an additional 30 over 1,000 of payments over a period of 9 years. That's 110, 120,000 easy, right? So that puts it in striking range of cars like what? MG4, something immediate I can think of, BYD Dolphin, BYD Atto 2, right? One thing for sure, Perodua is definitely not competing against the EMAS 5 with this car. And Perodua also is not expecting to sell a lot. They are not expecting to sell big volumes with this, okay? They are targeting only 500 units and not 5,000 units. So maybe down the road, they may make something cheaper, they may make something more market, but this one, they say they are not targeting big volumes, and hence also that would explain why some people think that the price is a bit on the high side, because they are targeting bigger profit margins with this car. They are targeting also the recurring cash flow from all the monthly payments. Now, of course, for me as a consumer, I would have much preferred it to be given the option to choose between renting the battery and buying it outright. So what Perodua has done here is that they don't have that option available from the consumer. I would have preferred to have the choice. Okay, I don't disagree with the battery as a service package, but I would have preferred to be given a choice. If I buy the car outright, what is the charges, right? And if I want to take a shorter lease, I would also like the option of going for a shorter lease, right? For them to work out the math accordingly. But that's just my thoughts. Okay, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.